We are live. What is up, Joseph?
Hey, Adam.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Just thinking about all the movies I saw this year.
That is an easy way to describe what this episode is. So every year for the podcast, either the second to last episode or the first episode into the new year, I like to do an episode where we kind of reflect on the year. It used to be a two-parter. I think we're just going to keep it into one this year, where we kind of do our favorite films of the year, and then our favorite non-comic book films, and then favorite comic books. I kind of want to just do an episode where we're talking on the year entirely, just because it was an interesting year in film.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good, a lot of bad, and some decent ones. We're like, okay, this isn't bad, because I've looked at my list and I'm just like, wow, I saw that this year.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. It's been a long year in film.
Right.
But welcome to the last episode of the year, everybody. If you haven't already, last week I did wasn't really a podcast. It was more of just a discussion addressing the issues with Jonathan Major being let go from Marvel. That was it. We'll have Movie News Monday. We come back within the next week or so, just because it is the holidays, so it is a little hectic. But before we get into our year, I guess you can say wrapped, 2023 wrapped, we're just going to talk box office, because Aquaman did come out. We're going to talk about where that lands. And then we'll just get into the nitty-gritty for 2023. Coming in at number 5 is going to be Salar, making $5.5 million. That's a Bollywood film, and it's a gang leader tries to keep a promise made to his dying friend and takes on other criminal gangs. It's made $6.9 million since its opening release. 6.3 million being domestic and 600 being international. 600,000, I should say, being international. Do you check out any of the Bollywood films?
I saw RRR last year.
Okay. How was that?
That was really good, but that's the only movie I've seen
Okay.
of the genre.
I haven't seen any of them. I always say I'm going to go see them because their posters are always like really, really good. Sometimes like better than what we get for some of the comic book films. I remember I saw one, I don't know if it was this year or last year, and it was the people who were seeing it described it as basically like Bollywood's Avengers Infinity War, and I was like, ooh, kind of want to see that.
Yeah.
So I never got around. I don't remember the name of it, but I do. I've been meaning to check one of them out. I just haven't. Coming in at number 4 is Anybody But You, making $6 million. I feel like everybody knows what film that is, because there's been a lot of like controversy regarding the two stars. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that controversy.
So there was controversy that Glenn Powell had cheated on his fiance with Sydney Sweeney while they were dating, just because there was a lot of like leaked photos, or not leaked photos, but photos that would surface of them just hanging out, and they were like way too close, doing like normal people thing.
Yeah.
Then I think she at the time was also in a committed relationship. So there's been a lot of. It's kind of like the what was the one that what? Oh my gosh, Harry Styles is in it. Florence Pugh, Olivia Wilde.
Oh, Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah, Don't Worry, Darling. It was like that.
Oh,
a lot of people. Well, a lot of people are obviously seeing it for both actresses. But it is, but there is some of like the sense where it's just like, it's because there's a lot of drama regarding it why people are seeing it. It's only made $8 million since. It was released on the 22nd, which was last Thursday, but it's made an additional $2 million since. I feel like this holiday season, I'm sure we'll get the boosted numbers next week, but doesn't feel like too many people are going to the movies. But it hasn't released international, so its entire $8 million is domestically. Coming in at number 1 is Migration, or excuse me, coming in at number 3 is Migration, making $12.5 million, bringing its grand total up to $39 million. 17 of that being domestic and 21 of that being international. That's a new, I believe it's a DreamWorks film. But a family of ducks tries to convince their overprotective father to go on a vacation of a lifetime. It is an animated film. Animated films always do well in the holiday season just because kids are off school.
Right.
But it looks funny. It looks pretty good. I would check this out. Have you seen a trailer for it or anything?
I've seen promo for it, but
Okay.
it's not really a movie I would see.
Do you watch animated films?
Some of them.
Some of them?
This one isn't one that is drawing me.
So Minions 4 comes out. Are you seeing it?
Maybe for like the meme. Just
The
because it's
meme.
Minions.
Okay.
But that's the exception.
That's the exception?
Yeah.
All right. What about when Shrek 5 comes out?
That one I might see as well.
That
But
you might.
That's just because of the nostalgia for
Okay.
the IP.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. All right. I can respect that. Coming in at number 2 is Timothée Chalamet's new film Wonka, making $8.1 million. It's currently made $263 million worldwide. Internationally, it has made $177 million, and 85 of it is domestic. It's been out since the 15th, so about 2 weeks. And then, for those of you who don't know, that is a prequel to, I believe, the Gene Wilder film, because it has the original Oompa Loompa, and I think a newer rendition of the original song.
Probably.
But I haven't had a chance to see it. Have you seen it at all?
No, I haven't seen it, but it's not really something I think I'm going to see, to be honest.
Okay.
It's not that it looks bad. It's just I'm not really interested.
Not interested in Timothée Chalamet. Is it him?
It's not. No, I don't have anything against him, but he's not a box office draw for me.
Okay.
Like, I'm seeing Dune because of the people involved with making it.
Gotcha.
He just happens to be a part of it.
Gotcha. Okay. Coming in at number 1, I know you're definitely going to see this film, is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, making $27.7 million. It since then has made $118 million, 38 of that being domestic and $80 million being international. Been out about a week. I know you saw this opening night. You were first in line, right?
No, I didn't get to see that one yet,
Oh,
but I'm excited too.
are you now?
Yeah.
Are you excited because you genuinely love Aquaman? Are you excited to see this film fail?
I don't like Aquaman at all. Like, I think the character's kind of boring.
Oof.
But the first movie was enjoyable. So because everyone's disliking this one, I'm more excited now than I was before it came out, just because I want to see how bad it is. I might even like it more because it's
bad.
Because it's bad, supposedly.
Okay. All right. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was unimpressed. I said to you before this, funny cringy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was laughing at the film. Sometimes I was laughing with it. And I feel like I'd seen this film a bunch of times. There was an inspiration. I'm going to use inspiration, but what I really mean is rip off of Black Panther,
Okay.
Star Wars, Iron Man. It was crazy. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't care making this film. Like, that's how I felt watching it. I mentioned to you, I've kept looking down at my watch. Mind you, there were baseball updates that were going on during the film, which made me a little more antsy to get out and read the news.
Yeah.
Which added to the I don't care that I'm watching this film. What's his name? The guy from The Conjuring. I always forget. It's not Patrick. Is it Patrick Wilson?
Well, he's in it. The guy who made it? It's James Wan.
No, I know James. Yeah, I think it's Patrick Wilson. He plays the brother of Aquaman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he was good, but he was like, again, it was cringy good.
Okay.
Same thing with Jason Momoa. Okay, I don't want to say this about Jason Momoa. But I don't think I don't want. Oh gosh, this doesn't come out bad. I don't think he's all that talented as an actor. He's like, because he was this. He was the same. Did you see Fast X?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, in Fast X, he's basically the Joker of that franchise. Like he is a joke. Like that's who he acts like. He's Joker without face paint.
Yeah.
In the Fast and Furious film, he was basically playing himself again. I don't because like in the first one, it was fine. He was, it worked because this was his first feature length film as Aquaman. When he was involved in the Justice League film and Zack Snyder's version, it worked. I thought it worked because it was the first time coming together. You really don't know how to establish these characters, or you don't know what works at that point. But this one, I was just like, yeah, he's just a big kid. Like, I feel bad saying that because I'm like, I didn't like this film, but there are things that I did like about this film.
Yeah.
Because overall, like, it's an F effort. Like, that's how I kind of see it. And I'm kind of disappointed in James Wan for allowing something come out like this. Like, I get it. Like, it is their last film, like, together. And it feels like they were making it knowing it. Like, oh, well, hey, we know this is a bad film. Or we know our time's over. Here's the end. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm a little disappointed in that sense. But I won't get into too much spoilers. I won't get into any spoilers at all. But I'm very, very disappointed. Because I got out of the theater and I was just like, should I come home and record, like, my thoughts on it? And I got home, I was like, I'm not taking a half hour to sit down to talk about this movie. I'm not. Like, it's just like, I hate to say it like that.
Yeah.
It's also, I think it made like 28 million in its opening weekend, and it's the second lowest DC like box office opening. And like, I know that doesn't say much because like the Snyderverse is done. Like they've killed it off. But yeah, I feel bad because it had, in my opinion, it had all these recipes for success, and it never just got off the ground, or Warner Brothers never allowed it to get off the ground. And I feel bad for James Gunn because for people to care about these projects, it's going to be hard considering Warner Brothers just spent a decade making poorly made films for the most part.
Yeah, their universe didn't really work out. So for them to hit the reset button, I'm sure that Aquaman was always kind of just going to be a let's just get it over with type of movie. Maybe they embraced it. I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But is it worse than The Flash? Because I did not like The Flash at all.
You know what? I don't know if I can answer that.
Okay.
Like, it's that hard.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest. I didn't think Flash was bad, but I knew there was a lot of issues with Flash, and a lot of us saw Flash because Ezra Miller had all these legal issues. Yeah. That's plain and simple.
Yeah.
But I think Flash was definitely more enjoyable and more emotionally over because of the story that it was telling more than Aquaman was, because it was hard to just care. And it's 5 years since the last one, even harder to care.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
I think it was 2018 when the first one came out. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I get congratulations to your 100 mil. I guess it's not gonna make much more, and that's got to be one of the biggest fall offs, considering the last one made like $1.5 billion.
That movie made a lot of money for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, for some, and at the time the DCU wasn't in the best state either, and this one just came out and did fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I want to move on to next is the top highest grossing films of the year. Do you want to take a shot at what is on this list?
I think I know what the top three probably would be.
Okay.
It has to be the second Avatar.
Hold on.
What?
Well, I'm gonna eliminate you right there. Avatar's 2022.
That's 2022. Okay,
Yeah.
so then it's Barbie.
Okay. And
And
is this? Are you saying Barbie's one, or are you just spitting them out?
I don't know what the order would be.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
Barbie has to be in the top 10. It has to be in the top 3.
Okay.
So Barbie's on there. Oppenheimer, maybe. I thought Avatar came out.
At the end is in December, so it's
Wow.
it made most of its money
Yeah.
in the new year.
Those are the only 2 that I know then.
Only 2?
I know
Okay.
Five Nights at Freddy's was like the highest grossing horror movie, but I don't know if that's like the highest grossing movie in general.
Do you want the top 5 or top 10?
Just do the top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah.
Okay. This is gonna come. Okay. I'll leave the top 3.
Okay.
So for you to see where you land.
All right.
So coming in at number 10 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, making $476 million. Coming in at number 9 is Elemental, making $496 million. Coming in at number 8 is Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, making $567 million. Number 7 is The Little Mermaid, making $569 million. Number 6 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, making $690 million. Number 5 is Fast X, making $704 million. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, making $845 million. And you were right on 2 of your picks.
Okay.
Being in the top 3.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess which one is number 3?
Oppenheimer.
You are correct. So Oppenheimer made $952 million.
Dang.
So Barbie is in the top 2. Do you want to take a guess where it's landing?
Well, I'm trying to think of what the other highest grossing movie would be, and I'm drawing a blank.
Is there a chance you probably didn't see it?
I don't think I did see it.
Okay. You're gonna it features Chris Pratt.
Oh, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Did you see it?
I did actually, but
Okay.
I forgot about that movie.
All right.
I forgot it came out this year.
Yeah, again, this is
Yeah.
this is a really big year. If you had to guess what was 2 and what was 1.
I'm thinking that Mario's 2 and Barbie's 1.
Okay, you're correct. Dang. All right. Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm going to guess which one's a clap. Or, wait. Round of applause, Joseph. You did pretty good. You did pretty good. Super Mario, or sorry, Oppenheimer made, I mentioned made 952. The Super Mario Bros. Movie made $1.3 billion, and Barbie made $1.4 billion.
Wow. I think out of that whole list, there's only 2 movies that are not a sequel or pre-existing. Elemental and Oppenheimer. But Oppenheimer's like a biopic.
Yeah.
So that
I would argue Barbie as well.
Barbie, but that's also like IP that exists.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah.
That's not very encouraging. These are all like sequels or reboots or something.
The top 20 is even more interesting because 20 is Wonka, 19 is The Nun, 18 is The Flash, 17 is Creed 3, 16 is Five Nights at Freddy, 15 is Hunger Games, the new one. Indiana Jones comes in at 4, The Meg 2 comes in at 13, Transformers comes in at 12, and John Wick comes in at 11. Interesting that Wonka's already in the top 20 and it's only been out a couple weeks. So the films that made it into the top 10, some of them dominated for their franchise, but if you look at like Ant-Man, that was a flop.
Yeah.
Even though
It's in the top 10.
close to $500 million is a good day for any studio.
Right. I'm surprised it made that much.
Yeah. I was hoping. I'm gonna be honest. I would have hoped it would have made more. I mean, the film wasn't any good, but is what it is. Are you shocked any of these made it into the top 10? Do you need me to read
Yes.
them up again?
I think 10 through 5, I was shocked
10 through 5?
because you said Quantumania, Fast X,
Yeah.
and then there was Elemental, right?
Mission Impossible,
Mission
Little
Impossible.
Mermaid.
That was Mission Impossible was all right.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see Little Mermaid though. So yeah, these are just like movies that people know kind of.
Yeah, there's familiarity with a lot of these, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you say, Barbie IP.
But Barbie was good.
You think so?
I think Barbie was good.
Okay.
I think that movie was deserving of the hype.
We'll agree to disagree. No, Barbie was a decent film. I thought Barbie was a really good film. I mean Fast X creeping in the top 5. You think people would be over it, but yeah, I mean they are loving Vin Diesel.
That's the one with Jason Momoa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but Jason Statham's also in it.
Okay.
The Rock made his return to that franchise. So there we are. You wanna just get into films that you saw?
Sure.
Okay. At that, let's start off with the worst. What's the worst film you saw this year?
Worst film. Okay, so I wouldn't say that it was like bad. It wasn't overtly bad, but there was a movie that I didn't finish called The Holdovers, with Paul Giamatti. I just thought it was boring. I watched about half of it, and then I looked at how much time was left, and I was like, I'm not gonna finish this movie. So
I wanted to see this
noped
too.
out of there.
You've left the theater?
I didn't see it in the theater.
Oh.
It's on digital already.
Oh, okay.
So I just stopped watching it.
Have you ever left a movie in the theaters?
I did when I was little,
Okay.
but that was because it was Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie remake,
Okay.
and I was like 8 or something. I don't know. It was a lot though. He was like stabbing people and like
A lot to handle.
I think I was like, maybe I shouldn't be watching this. So
I
I walked out of that movie, but it wasn't because of the quality. It was just very violent for a child.
Yeah, you look back at it, it's not a good film either, though.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, okay. It's nothing special.
Okay.
Oh, this first one's fantastic, but yeah, nothing special. I wanted to see this film. I've never left a film early by choice, but I had to leave Cloverfield twice.
The original?
Yeah, because of the motion sickness. I got motion sickness as a kid watching that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the third time where I was able to just finally sit down and watch it.
I was the same way, but I rented that from Blockbuster.
Okay.
So I had to pause it. I was different. I didn't see it in the theater.
So you were bored with the Holdovers.
I was bored with it, and it's not terrible. It's just I don't know. It was like I was an hour in. It's 2 hours long, and I just was like, I could be watching something else, or I know where this is going, and I'm not really wanting to dedicate the time to finish that
Yeah.
movie. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that was the worst, just because I didn't even feel interested enough to finish it.
Yeah.
But there were also like bad movies that I did finish.
So what would you say is a couple of the bad films that you finished?
The movie Saltburn that came out this year.
Okay. You felt that was bad?
I saw that in the theaters, and it was a guilty pleasure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it is a bad movie, but it's an interesting bad movie. I don't know. The director was kind of thinking, or at least my interpretation is, how can I put as many shocking images into a movie?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the sequences are kind of there just for shock value,
Yeah.
but it's effective. Like I was squirming in my seat, and the audience that I was a part of was reacting to it. So that was cool. I always like when audiences react to movies.
You were like the plant for the studio that they talk about, like, oh yeah, people are squirming in this film. It's one of the, one of the most shocking films of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the one that was recording the reactions from the audience.
Okay.
Because there were people that were like, I could see them like squinting their eyes. Like I was like my siblings, we were all kind of like looking at each other, like not wanting to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Because of what was on screen. But it's really interesting. Like this director, she makes interesting failures.
Okay.
So even though it was bad, I'm not upset that I saw it.
Okay.
I was glad I stuck it out and finished the whole movie.
Okay.
But yeah, it was
Anything else you want? Any other films you want to add?
I'm trying to pick one that I saw in theaters, but I guess I saw in the top 20 highest grossing. I saw Five Nights at Freddy's, and that was like
Thought that was bad?
I did not like that.
Okay,
No.
fair enough.
That
Fair
movie
enough.
was like legitimately bad.
Legitimately bad. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you have this IP that people like, so I'm sure you can have a decent budget.
Have you played the game?
Like I've played like a sibling was like, hey, like, do you want to play this? And I did like one night, and I was like, oh, this is like a waiting game. Like
Yeah.
it's like anticipation that's making you anxious.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I'm not the biggest fan of the game, so I can't say I was familiar with who everyone was.
Fair enough.
But I was aware of the property. I know it exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've mentioned it before. I saw it with my brother, and we were both disappointed with it.
Oh, okay. Your brother's a gamer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to see Five Nights at Freddy's, that reaction was like, because a lot of people who played the game saw it, had like endgame reactions. It was freaking crazy.
Wow.
This was their endgame. It was so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. If I had to mention some of the bad films I saw this year, immediately I have to say Aquaman. Like I hate to say that because it just came out.
Yeah.
But that is how I feel. Like this film was just, it was just bad. Also, there's an earlier film that I know Infinity Pool. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
That's with the Skarsgård brother.
That was this year?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to see it.
Shazam, Fury of the Gods, the sequel.
I did see that one, actually.
That was bad.
You thought it was bad?
It was bad.
I didn't think it was that bad. It was okay.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I didn't see that.
I did not care for that film.
Okay.
Eyes were heavy. Heavy watching that. I should probably not have enjoyed it, but Fast X, I think that's more of like a guilty pleasure. That was my guilty pleasure. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's understandable. Those people know that they're not making high art. They're making popcorn movies.
That's a good way to put it. It's I don't want to say niche,
Okay.
but it kind of is now. You have to know you want to go see that film.
Yeah.
Even though they make money, I should say. Let me see what else, because I really enjoy Blue Beetle. I think I wouldn't put the Marvels on there either. I really like the Marvels. Yeah. Aquaman, Infinity Pool, and Shazam are probably like the three worst films that I would say. And it's not even that like Infinity Pool is bad. There are some scenes similar to like Saltworm that are in there for shock value, where you're kind of just like confused.
Yeah.
At least in Infinity Pool, you're a little confused. But Mia Goth is terrific as she is in everything.
Yeah.
Film I need to mention on here for sure that I have talked about hating all year long and deserves more is The Whale. I loved that film, but I hated Brendan Fraser in this film.
That was this year? I thought that was last year.
No, it was this year. Yeah, it was the beginning of this year.
Okay.
It had limited release in 2020 too, and it was full release in 2023.
Oh, so he won. I remember the Oscar 2023.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
I like The Whale. You hated it?
I didn't hate it. I hated his character.
Oh, he was a bad man. Yeah.
He wasn't a bad man. He was just
he
wanted sympathy for no reason.
Well, he was a bad man. So he was like wanting to repent basically for everything that he's done wrong in his life. So he's a bad person because he did those things. But I think he also is self-aware enough to see that the end is near for him.
Yeah.
That he's wanting to make sure that he goes out correcting these mistakes. Whether or not he deserves to be like forgiven, I feel like that's something that is up to the audience, whether or not they forgive him. But I think they did a good enough job with like
I didn't forgive
making him human. I didn't forgive him either.
I would have punched him in the face.
Yeah.
If this is a character I could not root for.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to root for like every protagonist.
You're right, you don't, because he wasn't. He was the antagonist.
Yeah, I was with Sadie's character.
But it was a fantastic damn movie.
Yeah.
But I hated it. It wasn't a bad movie by any means. I simply just hated it, and it deserves to be talked about because it was one of the better films of the year for sure.
It was good.
I hated the hell out of this entire film. Okay, let's talk. Let's get into some of your favorite, best of the best, cream of the crop. What would you say are some of your save your most favorite film for the end?
Okay, I was going through my A list and kind of just looking at lists at what came out this year, and I ended up settling on about 3, and I wouldn't say I have an order of what I like. Like I wouldn't rank them, except for maybe my number 1 spot. I feel like that one I can say it's my favorite easily. But I really liked this movie that came out called Anatomy of a Fall. It was by Neon. They also are releasing Ferrari right now, but it's about this trial of a woman who's convicted of murdering her husband. He dies by falling from their house. They live in the mountains, so they're really secluded and there's like snow everywhere. So it's hard for people to get up there and for anyone to kind of be around to come to their aid if they need help. So the whole point of the movie is her being convicted and tried for his murder or his death because they don't know if it was an accident or if she pushed him. And they have a son who's blind. So he was there, he heard everything, but he can't see. So that kind of puts his testimony, it makes the jurors kind of question his testimony because he doesn't have all the information, like what he saw. He just knows what he heard. So it's really interesting because I don't know if it's a spoiler to say, but they don't exactly give you the verdict.
Okay.
It's up to the audience to kind of convict her in a way. But I really liked it. It's one of those movies where they show the same event happening from different perspectives. So they show it from hers, from audio that they recover, from the detective, like kind of a clinical take on it. And I just thought it was really well done.
Is this a like a foreign film?
Yeah. They're speaking English in most of it. But I think she's French. I'm not sure because there's parts where they're speaking French or they speak a little German or something. But it's mostly in English. And it got a limited release, I think. I don't know if it was a wide release.
Gotcha.
But I really liked it because it's like thrilling. It's funny at some points. The performance is really good. I don't know any of these actors, but I had an impression left by their performances, and I actually noticed these actors like in roles in other movies after it. So it made them stand out in a way. There was the main actress who's the wife that's being tried. She was in another movie called Zone of Interest that I also saw this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel her performance in Anatomy of a Fall was really good. And
Okay.
the movie I think won the Grand Prix at Cannes. So that's like the French Oscars.
Okay.
So it won like the highest honor basically. And I thought it was really good. I think it's on digital now. So if
Yeah, I'm gonna
people
have to check it out.
want to see it, it's like
Check it out.
it's really good. Yeah, it's a slow
Yeah.
burn.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through your other two, or do you want me to name one?
Let's go back and forth.
Okay.
That'd be good.
This I feel like it wasn't talked about enough, but those who saw it loved it.
What?
Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin was one of my favorite, and I think was one of the better films of the year.
That movie was really good. That's one where I forgot it came out this year.
Yeah, again, it was a long year because
Yeah.
there's films I want to put on it, like on my list, because with the top three, but I'm already thinking like, dang, I have to get rid of some,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But because I think I've been saying it all year since I've seen it, what my favorite film of the year is, and I feel like if you've listened or watched, you would know. So I'm gonna exclude that and
Okay.
give two other films a spotlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, Knock at the Cabin, I loved it. Fantastic. I loved Batista in it. I loved Rupert Grint.
Yeah.
It was just a fantastic film. There was a lot of I don't want to say shock factor, but it was hard to believe the craziness that was going on in that film, like was happening. And I I enjoyed the entire film. It was good. I only seen it that time. But now that I'm talking about it, I need to go back and watch it because it was really, really put together well. Did you catch that film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that in February, I think, or
Yeah.
March.
Well, that's when it came out. So
Yeah.
you're
It was
yeah.
earlier in the year, and I saw it with my friend, and we were both giggling basically. I don't know if that's what was intended by M. Night Shyamalan, but we both liked it for different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I do need to revisit also, just because my only viewing was that first time, and it probably has a different effect when you watch it, knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because part of the appeal of the movie is the anticipation and whether or not what's being said is true is actually true. So it probably is gonna work on a different level on a rewatch.
Yeah.
But that one was funny. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. Yeah. It was definitely one of my favorite films of the year. What was another film that you got on your list?
Another one that I thought was funny as well is Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage.
Still haven't seen it.
That movie was pretty funny. It looks great. I think they shot on film. So it has this kind of grainy texture that also adds to the dreamlike quality of the movie, because throughout the movie they're showing different people's dreams, and they're done in a different kind of style where the setting is different, the editing is kind of different. It's unique to the sequence that's happening. So visually it's really kind of rich. It has different colors and visuals, and the soundtrack's good too. I feel that the this movie was written and directed by like one person, but he also edited the movie. So
Wow.
with that type of involvement, I feel like you can kind of see one person's point of view in a way. So he does it really well. When I saw the movie, there was a Q&A after, and he talked about how the inspiration for the movie was kind of writing down certain dreams he was having. And then there's a sequence in the middle of the movie, which is kind of like the big punchline. He said that he came up with that scene first, and then he wrote everything else to get to that point. So it's kind of like a lowbrow joke. So to hear somebody say that this movie that's really good was only made to get to that lowbrow joke was kind of funny. It seems like the filler is really good. It's too good for that one joke just to be like the entire point of the movie, but it's still really good. Like I don't want to spoil it because
I want to see it.
The audience was really enjoying it, that scene, and just the different dreams in general. But the message is good too. I feel the movie addresses a lot of topics. So if someone were to be put into this position where they're appearing in others' dreams, there's a monetary value that can be put on it. Like you can have kind of open-ended like range on what you can do with how you sell this, and that's explored in the movie. And there's people that are just trying to exploit him because he's popular and he has this ability to be in people's dreams. So it's a fully realized movie, I feel. Like when you have a concept like this, sometimes people don't see it all the way through. But this guy kind of was like, if someone appears in someone's dreams, what are the repercussions of that? How big does he get? Like how drastic is the fall if he like suddenly isn't in that position anymore? So I don't know. I thought about it after it was over because it was funny, but also because it was just well made in general.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I think people should see that one if they can, because it got a wide release, but it was way after the limited, so didn't get a great release, I feel.
And because even when it got the full release, it was gone shortly after. Because I remember I was looking for it and couldn't get tickets. Yeah. I love that you mentioned about the director also being the writer and the editor, which, in my opinion, is such an A24 thing, and that's who helped produce this film, to allow something like that because of the fact they were for a long time an independent filmmaker studio, which I love that, this guy did everything from directing, writing, screenplay, editing, because that is everything you do as a filmmaker when you are starting out. You are the director, you're the producer, you're the casting manager, you're the marketing manager. Like, you have all these roles as a filmmaker because you're not there at that. You're not into, Hollywood in that at that level yet. So it's just like, I think it's cool that, a film that is being widely released in that way, and with a studio that is now a household name, is able to still keep that independent, independent filmmaking value, in the sense of where it is, very not done the way, very corporate, feels different when you watch it. When you see an A24 film, you're almost guaranteed that this film is going to be absolutely amazing. Which, I still haven't seen this film. But I'm glad you bring up that we're on the topic of A24, because my next film is also an A24 film, and that's going to be Past Lives. I was not prepared for this film. I was not prepared for the emotional roller coaster that Past Lives was. And it was easily one of the best films, if not the best film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. And for it to tell the same story different years apart, where they were kids, middle-aged, full-grown adults, I was taken for a loop. I don't like there was like processing, and then I saw it late. So I saw it after the initial release. So then I was looking it up after, and then I saw that there were so many of the similar responses that I had to this film, where it was just like, damn, like this film really took a number on me. Like, I don't want to say I was depressed or anything after that, but it makes you feel a certain type of way after you watch this film. I walked out saying this is such a realistic take on love, like being in a relationship with somebody. It's such a realistic telling of like the story, as opposed to what we're used to getting. I showed it to my sister a couple weeks ago. She loved it and hated it for the same reasons. It's obviously like we use, outside of Lizzo, we use the term hate very loosely on this podcast. And I don't even want to say we hate Lizzo. I got beef. I just got beef. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
we had to get that in for the last episode of the year. But point is, on this episode or on this podcast, hate is used very, very loosely. Not as in like I have hate for it. It's more of like I hate that this happened. Because if you haven't seen it, it's not a happy ending, but you understand that this is like real life. This is a real life ending.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say the love films you remember are the ones that break your hearts. This, for me, 500 Days of Summer, Titanic, La La Land, Moulin Rouge, A Walk to Remember, you name it. The list goes on. The list truly goes on. And this film, I was just like, this is like my favorite film. I would be happy if this film won an Oscar. I would obviously love to see it nominated for Motion Picture of the Year. I don't think it is. I know the nominations came out. It's unfortunate, but I would have loved to see this one nominated.
I enjoyed it too. Yeah. I wasn't familiar with the movie at all, or kind of what it was supposed to be about. So when I saw it, I was surprised. I was heartbroken when I saw it too. So the story is so realistic, and it's not your Hollywood ending, I guess, where you kind of expect a certain outcome and it doesn't happen. Some people take issue with the outcome not being what they were expecting when they see a movie, but I feel it's more challenging to have this sort of ending where you're at peace, but it's through maturing and through the difficult emotions that go with like saying bye or like accepting stuff.
Yeah. The for lack of a better term, just the realism. Yeah. The realism is just like there aren't. Oh my gosh, I don't want to say there aren't happy endings in life.
Yeah.
But 9 out of 10 times you don't expect to end up with the person you probably originally wanted to as a kid, and this is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know, and oh man, like, you know, like you say, like the maturing and like letting go, and like you say people not liking the outcome, but yet I feel like that is like the way they handled this film is also the way of like how we are in a sense of like society, where on like when it comes to like certain situations, like relationships nowadays are played as games. And, you know, it's just like not being able to speak up. And I feel like that is how this film was, where they both knew that there was that feeling towards one another, but neither of them were able to speak up. One, because her situation. Two, because I think the life she lived was a lot different. The world, you know, it's just like South Korea is a lot different from New York City. So, you know, it's just like it's two different backgrounds that it's just like were immediate obstacles. But yeah, this film, I loved this film. And I love when a film does not end the way it's supposed to. Yeah. Like when a film can do this to me and leave me and give me that shock and, you know, it's just like, and not give me what I want, even though I wanted it to end, for them to end up together, but for them to not end up together, and for them to have the way it ends, it like so heartbreaking, but yet so hopeful.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a great film. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I liked it a lot.
Broke my heart, but I love heartbreak films. Those are my guilty pleasures. Heartbreak films are my guilty pleasures. All right. Your last film of the year.
So for this last movie, I actually would say it is my favorite of the year.
Okay.
I don't think it's lesser than the other two I mentioned, but it's Poor Things that came out this month with Emma Stone. So for that movie, I've seen it a couple times now. I just really love the world building. Mm-hmm. I feel if a movie can take me to a place that is completely different than the real world that we live in, but still make it feel lived in and genuine, then it's the type of movie that I want to watch, because it's transporting you to a place that doesn't work on paper, but you're watching it and it's believable, and you love the characters, and the detail, the attention to detail is amazing in the movie. The costumes are great. The way it looks is awesome, just because they're tracking the progression of Emma Stone's character, who's kind of starting at a 0 point. Like, she's starting at a point, and then she progresses to like her final state.
I have one. Does it take place in modern day?
No,
No. Okay.
So it's interesting because the costuming makes it seem as if it's 20th century, but there's these additions of trolley cars that are flying in the sky. So their public transit is still similar to ours, but it's otherworldly still in a way where it's unfamiliar enough to be, I don't know, interesting. So they're on a ship, and it's a combination of like steam and electricity. So it's kind of combining the past and the future, because this character is kind of a baby in a way, where the world is brand new to her. So how would that look for an individual? Like, you're a grown up, but everything is new. So if you were to find out everything for the first time, it would kind of be the way it's portrayed in the movie, where the staircases are kind of more windy. They're spiraled in a way that's not really practical, but it looks cool. The sets are really nice, where they're kind of Victorian. They're ornamental. Like, everything is designed and thought out, so it feels real, but it's just like in another universe in a way, where there's like a carriage, where they show it, and you see like the horse's head, and then it turns around, and it's really a car, and they just stuck a horse's head on that carriage to make it look like
Interesting.
it's an actual like horse, but it's still like 20th century. So just the way that the movie looks, they really paid attention to the production design, and just the way it appears on screen. So if you like watching movies and you pay attention to kind of the background stuff, not really like the story, like, this is just so detailed, and it's really nice looking. But also the story is interesting, because you're following this character who's a fish out of water. So it's like the audience surrogate, but the world that she's navigating it's like a heightened reality. It's like our reality, but not like true to 100%. So I don't know. I just really liked it, because it's one of those movies where everyone's kind of like an outcast. So you have Willem Dafoe's character, who's like horribly scarred, and the world doesn't really like him, but the main characters that are kind of important and pushing the story forward, they accept him. And I don't know, I just really like how everybody looks, and everybody has their own costume. Like, he's the evil scientist, but what if that person was not evil? Like, what if he just reanimated people, or made these animals? Like, he'll put like a dog head on a duck's body. Like, he's just making weird stuff. So the world that's built, I feel, is just really interesting. I've never been in a movie where it was that different, and interesting and funny, and kind of made me feel all emotions in a way. Like, I was mad, I was happy, I was sad. It was just like the director did a really good job with adapting the book, because I guess it was a book. I haven't read the book, but if you like kind of the Frankenstein story, this is like a swapped version of that, because it's obviously Emma Stone. She's like that character, but I think everybody can get something out of it. It's really funny. I think it might have the kind of publicity right now that makes me think it could get Best Picture. If not Poor Things, then maybe like Killers of the Flower Moon. I feel one of those two movies
Will be winning.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in a position where Shape of Water was, where people were saying it was weird, but it had Oscar potential, or like the Parasite, the South Korean movie that came out.
Yeah.
Like it's getting similar reception to those, so I wouldn't be surprised if it did win Best Picture. But that's not why I like it. I think it's really good. It's funny. It's really weird when I go into the theater and the workers like ask what I'm watching, or like they check your tickets and like they have to see. They're always like, "Oh, that movie's weird. Like I just saw that." So it leaves an impression on people, and I liked it a lot. I think it was really good.
It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I definitely want to. Because you saw it right before we saw Maestro,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you were raving about it. And you got a cool like a cool gift bag with it too.
yeah.
Which that was cool.
It was really cool.
But yeah, I want to check it out. I've heard great things about it, and I've read great things about it. But yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I'm gonna definitely take the time to, as I'm gonna have a lot more free time for the movies soon. So I'll be definitely be taking advantage of going to the movies on the weekends.
Nice.
But I feel like I have to mention it just because long anticipated sequel, for me at least. So I was super, super excited when this finally came out. But for me, well, I'll get the other one out of the way. Obviously, like I said, Oppenheimer was like by far my favorite film of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit of a cinema bro to a Nolan bro to be saying that, but this was a film. Oppenheimer was the film that got me saying that Nolan is one of the, like, I'll put him with the Scorseses, the Camerons, the Scotts, and the Spielbergs. This was the film that made me say, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I understand why people like this guy a lot. Not that I never liked Nolan. I have always loved Nolan's work. I've never been like, yeah, it's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Inception, Interstellar. Though none of those or even like The Dark Knight were ever like, yeah, he's so amazing. He's a great, fantastic director. This was it. This is the film that made me find that. Okay. You got me. I will retract my statement where not that I ever made one, but saying that with Nolan not being one of the greats, this is Oppenheimer was just I don't know. I loved it. I own it on 4K. I've watched it 3-4 times in one sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot to do. But Oppenheimer, my favorite film of the year by far. I don't want to focus too much on it. But for me, I also want to give for me another film would definitely be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Animation wise, storytelling wise, continuous world building. Like I feel like they built the first one really well.
Yeah.
And they continue to add on, not just with the actual world, but with their characters, the inclusion of Oscar Isaac, and a supporting cast, and then even having more people added into this film, like Daniel Kaluuya, and then I forget his name all the time, but he plays Doopinger in Deadpool. He plays the Indian version of Spider-Man. I don't know his name. I'm not gonna look it up because it's gonna take too long. But fantastic. Like, I loved the film, loved the animation, I loved the storytelling. I believe it or not, I love cliffhangers as well because it means there's more to the story. I love that this film ended on a cliffhanger, even though probably another 30 minutes or so you probably could have wrapped up the story. But I'm super, super okay that there is going to be a third film at some point. But Across the Spider-Verse, I saw it I think 2-3 times in theaters. Once by myself, once with Miguel. And I've watched it several times. I've watched bits and pieces of it on Netflix since it's been on. I've not been able to get enough of this film, and even Metro Boomin, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is something that I feel is collectively better than the first album and soundtrack, but does not have a Sunflower. The way Sunflower was, we were listening to that thing like for like a year and a half, whereas this one I feel like collectively is a better album, but is missing its one song that like, oh my gosh, let's play this on repeat. But Yeah. Did you watch this film?
Yeah, I saw that one earlier this year.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think if I saw it IMAX. I think I did,
Okay.
but it was really good. I liked the first one when it came out. I saw that one a couple times too. But the yeah, for this one, I thought it was really kind of interesting that they would leave it off on a cliffhanger, just because the audience I was in did not like seeing that to be continued.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I think if they're feeling as if it warrants a whole movie to finish the story, then I'm not gonna distrust them.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining at more of this style of movie and with these characters, because they did flesh out the world a bit, and it's making me excited for that third one when it finally does come out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think the animation style, because like in my opinion, it gave animation inspiration to a film like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I felt like it was the same style of editing.
Yeah.
And that was a great film this year as well. But I feel like it gave animation a new way to have a visual pleasing film, as opposed to just like the Disney standard on how we kind of see Disney making their animated films, and
Yeah.
even I would say DreamWorks, to be more abstract, be more vibrant and more vivid, and have just so much more color and be able to include that, as well as having a fantastic story and fantastic characters. Because that's one thing I feel like with animation films or animated films, it's just so hard to get people on. I feel like we only get films where people are like, oh my gosh, every couple of years. It may be a little more recent because we've had Frozen, we've had Across the Spider Verse. You know, both of them, both Frozen's and both this film. You know, and then even with like anime, I feel like anime films that are getting released in America are starting to get a lot more traction to what they are. Um, but to end the 2023 discussion, not necessarily end the 2023 discussion, do you have a film you are looking most forward to in 2024?
I I would say Dune, just because that was supposed to be released this year
Mm-hmm.
and it got pushed back because of the strikes. So I'm excited for that because it's going to be released the first quarter of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really the only title I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I mean, when movies are being made, there's always like articles that come out where the people involved are saying that they're really excited about what they're working on and it's like the best thing. So I don't know if there's any credibility to like the director saying he's more satisfied with how the second one came out than when he was making the first. So I feel his kind of um, attitude towards the second one makes me excited because he ultimately seems as if he's making it like for himself, since he's like a huge fan of the book. And I feel like some of the best things that are made are selfishly made by the directors. Like they make it to please themselves, and there's like-minded people that like it as well. So for Dune, yeah, I'm excited because I think that's like March or something,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
it looks really cool. The last trailer I saw was like it looked crowd pleasing, but it also looks like it's interesting. It's adapting the book in a way that's not removing what makes it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I've read the book, but I've heard that it's really good and it gets weird. So if he can capture that weirdness and make it grounded, I'll be happy.
And still have it, I would say, probably feel like it can exist in the world that he's already built. Because
Yeah.
there's some things like, and I think like it never gets talked about enough, where it's just like when people complain about changes from books over to film, is that like that just wouldn't work on the big screen.
Yeah.
Um, but and even with the inclusion of like the new cast, because I'm very excited for this film. I know I'm probably going to be among the few, but a film I'm looking forward to in the future, or well, in 2024, is definitely going to be Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire. Sometimes I like a film where I don't need to follow the plot
Yeah.
and I can still love it. Um, because that's a film where, you don't have to pay attention to your main characters or your main human characters and not understand it. It's just, sometimes I just want to see a bunch of monsters destroying a city. But anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
I would say that 2023 was pretty good as far as movies go. I know we had the strike, so it's kind of concerning for next year.
Yeah.
Because there probably won't be a lot of movies the first 6 months of the year.
Looking like a down year next year.
Yeah. But I'm still grateful for this year. There's a lot of good stuff.
What I will say to that is, yes, 2024 will probably be a down year in movies.
Yeah.
2025 is going to be popping.
That's going to be crazy.
That's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
At least it's starting to fill. Yeah. I want to bring this up just because this film was a meme, and before we truly sign it off. Did you see Megan?
No.
No?
I didn't see that.
All right.
It's a doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But
I'll see Megan.
Huh?
I'll see it.
I feel like it's a film you turn off.
Oh, you turn it off?
It's cringe.
Oh, okay.
It's like funny cringe.
Okay.
Where you're laughing at it but laughing with it because of how ridiculous some of this film is. But I'd happily see a sequel with how outrageous this film is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll do it. But thank you guys, as always, for listening and watching. Thank you, Joseph, for being on. If you haven't already, check out all of our previous episodes of Movie News Monday and TV Inquiry. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 41, so very appreciative of that. We skyrocketed after being stagnant for a couple months. So very, very appreciative of that, guys. Yeah, and you can check out all our old previous episodes down in the description below. Also, too, I am going to be putting in some of the old videos onto the YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that because there may just be a week of uploading where it is a couple episodes a day, just getting our old videos on this channel for you guys to enjoy, old work that we've done on other channels. But if you haven't already, like I said, please subscribe. Send this episode to a friend. Again, thank you for being on, Joseph. But as always, I'm Adam.
I'm Joseph.
And I think this was episode 156 of Our Real Addiction. Sic Parvis Magna, everybody.